this. Joining us for Labour this morning is Jess Phillips. Hi, Ms Phillips. Always great to see you. What are your thoughts on these barges?
I think it's just another ridiculous gimmick, and the thing I want to make clear is that this isn't instead of the hotels. This is as well as the hotels, and this particular barge, we're talking about sort of 0.3% of the current, not 3%, 0.3% of the current backlog. What I don't understand is it just seems a very unusual thing not to have spoken to the local authority. As you said, the Labour Party tried to get the government to vote that into law that local authorities where these sites and hotel sites would be held would have to by law be consulted with, and the government voted against that last week. It just feels to me, I have to say, that they just want you to have this image of this barge for your news broadcast, so it looks like they're doing something. But this is excuse the pun, a tiny drop in the ocean, and they should get on with clearing the backlog of the 166,000 cases.
What does Labour believe will happen with these? Is it a floating prison and those on board will not be allowed off? Or is it, as the locals are worried about, 500 people who they don't know coming in and out of their town and going as they will and challenging their services every 28 days?
Your guess and Labour's guess is as good as mine. I don't know what the situation is going to be, and the minister didn't seem to be able to answer those questions. I have absolutely no idea. Certainly, as a member of Parliament who has a number of hotels in our area that house asylum seekers and refugees and the general homeless population, because there's also nowhere for those people to go. I have to say, usually the Home Office will email you in the morning when they've moved a load of people there in the middle of the night. So, and those people are certainly allowed to go out and about. They're not imprisoned. They're allowed to move around the local area just by my office. There is a number of different hotels. So, yeah, I don't know the answer to your question, and I don't think the Home Office know.
I certainly wasn't much clearer after I'd spoken to the minister. I think, in all fairness, I can say that. You know that officers are being taken away from protecting the country against terrorism in order to look at internal standards. 200 Met officers were being told. What's Labour's reaction to that?
Look, I think that an operational decision has been made by Mark Rowley to try and turn around what can only be described as an absolute crisis of confidence within the Metropolitan Police. And I assume that he's taken all of the necessary risk assessments. In fact, I don't assume. I feel like I'm certain that Mark Rowley knows what he's doing. But unless with the Metropolitan Police, and I have to say, police forces across the country turn around the sort of crisis in confidence in policing currently, they actually won't be able to do their job properly at all in any area. And I think that the Home Secretary needs to come out much stronger and talk about what she's going to do about standards in policing, because at the moment it's a hodgepodge situation across the country where it's different all over, and I think we need a little bit of leadership.
And what you want to do is have specialist courts that will deal with rape cases.
Yes, so, today the Labour Party is basically having found that it has doubled since 2015, the number of rape victims dropping out of their trials. It's gone from 19% in 2015 to 41% of rape victims who come forward drop out of their trials. And some of that is undoubtedly down to the massive wait. The average wait is 3 years for a rape trial to come. And so the Labour Party wants to see specialist rape courts being set up to fast track these cases, to stop victims dropping out, and to ensure that we can lock up some rapists. That would be nice. It seems like quite an old-fashioned desire to want to see some rapists charged. The current rate is 1.6% of cases are charged at the moment, and that is just absolutely woeful. The Labour Party also wants to see end-to-end victim support and legal support for victims as soon as they come forward, and specialist rape units in every police force, which the government have voted against.
Your boss keeps getting himself in all sorts of trouble. He's tying himself in knots when he talks about single-sex spaces and transgender issues. What's your view on single-sex spaces?
I mean, I used to run them. So for many, many years, I ran women's refuges. So I think that single sex spaces should be protected, not just through our equalities laws. And that needs to be, I think that there is a need to look at how explicit the Equality Act currently does say that it is sex that is the protected characteristic, not gender. But where that has led to some confusion, I think that, it's worth looking at how we might want to clarify that. But what I am absolutely certain of is that not all women are the same, and you can't just say single sex spaces are the answer. For example, I used to run specialist single sex spaces for South Asian women in Birmingham, and I'd want to see specialist spaces for transgender victims of domestic abuse. But I absolutely believe in single sex spaces for women's only services. And actually, we've seen a massive degradation of that in the last 10 years under this government, who claim to care about it, but have actually seen the undermining of specialist domestic abuse services to generic services pretty much everywhere in the country.
Okay, just before I let you go, whatever the flavour when it comes to politicians go into being a politician because they want to make a difference, but quite often you're a target. Quite often you're a target as a result. And I see that you've been openly saying that you need to take medication for anxiety because of the level of threat against you. Do you want to talk more about that?
I mean, yeah, look, I mean, who knows whether my anxieties are, pattern of my age and other things. But I have suffered trauma being a member of Parliament, without doubt. I don't think it's that unusual to suffer from anxiety. When I was about to swear, then Kay, I'll try not to do this.
Don't do that. You'll get me in all sorts of trouble.
That I don't want to. I'm not going to swear. Don't worry. But my dad used to basically say, just because the rotters, just because you're paranoid doesn't mean the rotters aren't trying to get you. But he said it more sweary. But the truth is that it feels like a huge amount of pressure sometimes, and you are under attack as a member of Parliament. And there's a difference between scrutiny and attack. But don't worry about me. I'm a tough old bird.
Oh, it's always great to see you. Thanks very much indeed. Enjoy the Easter as best you can. Thank you.